Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going? So, we're going to talk about the Sigiltastic event. Um, of course, one of the things that everybody's kind of been more than enough aware of up to this point, pretty much, is you've got the archaic domes and the sigils, and everybody's probably flipping over these monsters, right? But here's the thing: the drop rate for the Azure chest and Sunshine chest is not very good. So, if you're wasting energy, I don't recommend it. I mean, use your energy you get when you build it, but don't waste your energy in your bag. You're going to want to go completely ham on energy when the event with the Phantom Knights starts. That's about where you're really going to see a lot of use out of it, and then you can use that to go and do hell events by the 24th. If you want my advice, that's what I recommend you do, though. Of course, Guild Showdown just kind of went down. Of course, we lost in the top 16. Now, if you guys are curious, how did it go down? I mean, truthfully, it was a 40 to 39. It was really close. And it came down to me and the other guy. And unfortunately, one of the problems that you'll often find is troop composition. And unfortunately, my troop composition was not the troop composition needed to win against the last guy. And so ultimately, I ended up losing. Now, when it comes to troop composition, at least on Guild Showdown, the only thing I can tell you is that you need to put potentially all three unit types, or just two unit types, being your front line and your front line. I see a lot of the time what people will try to do is they will try to do kind of a mixture of all three, but I mean, some of the best ones I was noticing, they picked one unit type of focus and then had a roughly about all the same in total. So if they had 375k, they divided it pretty evenly across, with a few extra and a few other spots depending on the focus. But of course, their gear, right? One of the things you got to really make sure you do is you got to make sure you got your attack gear on, and you got to make sure you kind of apply that focus. Obviously, your heroes and your lineup need to match that as well. And then, of course, you need to pop those army boosts. So if you can get your, you can get like a base title, if you can get forts, if you can get, some heroes and altar boost. All that stuff is where you're going to multiply that amount of bonus that you're going to get, which will transfer over to the actual Guild Showdown event. So if you're trying to do that, that's really where you need to go. But as far as where I would recommend to go from here, of course, for those of you out there that are trying to get Archaic Tomes, like I was telling you, yes, there is the Archaic Tome pack. Obviously, yes, if you Archaic Tomes are kind of your thing, right? At $20, you can get 285 of these, and if that's the route you want to take, then all the power to you. Of course, as you all know, the Shadow Sigil is kind of being used as a means to hide your gear, but obviously, everybody knows that if you're only going to get 5 of those, and they're all 4 common grade, you're going to have to spend a lot of money to get up to Legendary, just so that you can hide the tiers, and that's not even counting the research that you need to get them in the first place. Because mind you, if you don't have this, which mind you, getting to level 8 as it is quite a bit if you think about it, because it's like 9 or so tomes just to get there. Gymming this is pretty hard to achieve as it is. But assuming that you went through this route and you got out of your way and do it, then all the power to you. But for the most part, I'm still going through doing the familiars, guys, because I still preach this every day, but I still think the familiars are something that you really ought to focus on. Because frankly, I think the more you do, the better. I just recently kind of got myself in a circumstance where right now I've got Trickstar down to level 9, and I'm getting 2 random Holy Star items every 2 days. And that's pretty decent, especially seeing as how in one more level I will have 3 every 2 days, which is pretty OP. Of course, if you're trying to get those extra attack stats, guys, you need to make sure you get your familiars up to par. Now, obviously, I do not recommend, in terms of fragments, ever going past like 30. I mean, if you want to kind of make sure you get the most for your fragments, try to avoid going over that number. Having that said, though, that's not really a proven number, and I'm not going to tell you that that's the best number. I'm just telling you that's what I do. But, obviously, I just recently got Bonehead, which is always really nice because, obviously, more Coliseum entries, so I'll be working my way down his particular level as well so that I can get the Coliseum a little bit lower. As you guys all probably know, I just recently got into this kingdom, and so I'm down in 1208, which I'm getting there. Of course, I'm pretty happy with the current setup that I've got. Everything's kind of working the way it's supposed to. Because I was planning out kind of the what am I gonna do, and so when it comes to gear, right, I ended up deciding that I am going to build a champion edge. Now, part of the reason why is because the only set that I really don't have enough of is Cav Attack, and the particular benefit of the champ edge is it does benefit you in the Cav Attack department a considerable amount, and it's just a hair bit better than using a Skull Crusher. So I will likely replace the Skull Crusher when using Cav units with that particular champ edge. But otherwise, from this point, I'm just going to be jeweling the hell out of those Cav jewels, which, as you guys all probably should know, is you do get jewel chests, supposedly, from the Phantom Knight. So that's going to be a pretty big deal. Hopefully we'll get a lot of them. Of course, if you haven't already, all right, for those of you out there that are going all batshit on that archaic tomes and shit like that, if you haven't already, I really do recommend you kind of go after the energy packs and shit like that, because to be honest with you, if they aren't already, which it looks like they are, you'll eventually run out of energy packs, which it does appear that you really don't have any options anymore. Just something to think about. Alright, because ultimately the problem that you'll often find is that when this event kind of comes around, the energy packs just kind of surprisingly disappear, and that's intentional. I know it's intentional. It has to be. Okay, because really you'll notice that the energy just doesn't, it's just no longer there. So if that's your aim, then all the power to you. Once again, if you're kind of curious, what exactly can you do as a free-to-play to kind of how do you keep up, with the new sigil research and all this stuff? Look, the truth is, all right, I don't think sigil research is really going to apply to most people, because 0.3% is not enough to really make a difference, right? I mean, by the time you get this actually up to par, it's going to cost you so much anyway. So don't sweat it, all right? For those of you out there that are still free to play and still playing the game, keep getting your monster hunting research, keep doing your military, get your upgrade military and army leadership trees, and keep going down the familiar route. Because again, that's really where you're going to get the most for your buck. This, in my opinion, is literally what I call a moolah tree, because there really isn't a way to get all the way down here without having to spend. I mean, yeah, you can probably get to an extent without having to spend, but it's going to be so difficult that, frankly, I don't advise anybody to gem their way through it. It really doesn't seem to me like that is the route you need to take if you're going to go through that research tree, because 81,000 gems is a lot of gems to be spending when you can only pay $20 for about the same equivalents in gems. So just so you know, okay, you can't get 80,000 or so gems for $20. So yeah, just a thought, all right? Because you can get 68K, but you can't get 80. Just saying. But having that said, all right, just make sure though that if you are going to be taking this game a little bit more seriously and you are trying to play pay to win, just know that your option is there. And if that's the option you want to take, then all the power to you. But if you are playing free to play, one of the things that I do think you can definitely do to try to keep up, if you are one of those free to play players that are taking the game as seriously as possible, I definitely think you need to go Phantom Knight batshit crazy and use all that energy you've got stored up. Because what you're going to do is you're going to take all those speeds and holy stars, and you're going to have to go batshit during these two events. Because this is where I think a lot of the players that don't play all that heavily into the spending portion are going to find themselves with a little bit more tomes and a little bit more sigils. Now, obviously, when it says sigils, I'm being honest with you, okay? I really don't think you're going to get those shadow sigils. So this is Wolfpack sigils, all right? Let's just leave it at that. But, you're probably looking at 2 tomes a piece if you can even get them. That's the real trouble, right? Is the chests themselves are not going to be easy. Now, I don't know. We'll see what the Radiant and the Brilliant chests have to bring here in a few days. But odds are it's probably not going to be very good. Because, that's just kind of the way it is. You gotta get a lot of those to really make it worthwhile. So like I said, a lot of us are probably not going to find much use of it. So if you're really trying to, do the sigil research in the end, I really do think you're going to have to pay your way through it. And that's why I'm pretty much giving this research tree the nickname of the Sigil Moolah tree, because this is literally all moolah, in my opinion, when it comes to actually being able to get any actual benefit out of it. Like, you've got to almost spend all the way through it to really get anything out of it. And even if you do, I don't think most people will find much need in it. I think for those of you out there that have got like a few million gems extra, it's no biggie. But I think if you're one of those players that are just kind of playing this game casually, even if you're a mild pay to win, you definitely shouldn't like go fucking batshit for that one, because I really don't think it's going to help you as much as you'd like to think. I mean, frankly, I think you would get more out of going out of your way to like get your army offenses up to 10%, because that you'll notice is actually really fucking helpful. And frankly, even going down the military command branch and getting these down here is pretty fucking useful. And if you haven't already, I mean, shit, if you haven't even done that, you honestly ought to be able to get your central command, your quick swaps, and your innate talents, maybe even your subsidies, because really that's really where it'll start to show up and add up. And like I was telling you, I mean, Pack 4 in the end is really where I think a lot of people ought to be transitioning to if they haven't already. But needless to say, I hope you guys kind of like, hopefully find some of what I had to say was insightful. Maybe you'll check out these videos, and I'll see you guys next time.